We are moving on to lesson number 3 in Unit 5, Degree Measures of Sector. Our goal today is to calculate degree measures of sectors and use a protractor and also a compass to draw circle graphs. So here we have a circle graph. We have our protractor and we already pointed to our compass. We'll be using both of those tools today to create these circle graphs. You should be on Math Journal page 169, and we're going to look at the math message first. Find the measures of the following angles in circle O without using a protractor. So this is what we did yesterday, and it looks a little different possibly because it is a circle, but we can still see that we have two straight lines that are intersecting, which creates vertical angles. So I know that this angle is 150, which means angle O also needs to be 150, and that would be POS or SOP. So when I'm writing that down, make sure I write it under the correct answer there. So that's going to be 150, and they already have the degree symbol for us. Now that leaves us with POQ, which is over here, and angle SOR. Those are also vertical angles, and we can use what we know about supplementary angles to help us find the answer there. So let's say I'm looking for POQ. If I look at this straight angle, cutting it in half, I know that this part is 150 already. They've told us that. So that means the other part has to add up to 180 degrees. So we are left then with an answer of 30 degrees. And if this angle, POQ, is 30 degrees, the vertical angle, SOR, will also be 30 degrees. Little review from yesterday. Now, if you were to add all of these up, we know that it should equal 360, and if we checked it, that's what we would get. So as you're working through problems like these, if you're working through a circle, it's really important that we know that the total measure of degrees will always add up to 360. If it doesn't, we've made a mistake somewhere along the way. Looking farther down on page 169, these things are a review. So you are going to be able, or you're going to need to be able to make a fraction, and then you have to turn that fraction into a percent. So just a reminder, to find the fraction, you're going to look at the part out of the whole, write that down, simplify it if you need to, and when you find the percent from a fraction, I need to first make it into a decimal by dividing numerator and denominator, and then to get from a decimal to a percent, I need to multiply by 100. We're going to look at page 170. This is a new skill for us today. So let's read the top together first, starting here. Mr. Lee surveyed the students in his class to find out what kinds of pets they owned and how many of each kind they had. The results are shown in the first two columns of the table below. So we are looking at a little bit of information here, and we are taking this information, finding a fraction, turning it into a decimal, finding the percent, and now this is the new part, figuring out in a circle graph not just what percent it would be, but how to draw that and figuring out how many degrees that would be, because that's how we're going to be drawing it with our protractor today, measuring the degrees. So you can look at the example to help you. We're going to jump down and look at the cat here. So the number of kids who have pet cats would be 6. So you can already see that they told us that the total number, I'm going to highlight it here, is 24. And you could find that by adding up all of these. But I know then that my fraction will be 6/24. My writing's kind of messy. It's a little small space for me. I then have to turn that into a decimal. And 6/24, if I simplify it, I know it's 1/4. And that decimal equivalent is 1 that I already know. So I'm not going to do any math. You can if you need to, and you can use a calculator on this page as well. 0.25, or correctly 0 and 25/100. And that as a percent, I want a different marker color and I don't have one. That as a percent is 25%. Those are all things that we've done before. Here's the new part. I need to take the fraction, so 6/24, I'm going to simplify it to 1/4 to make my work a little easier, and multiply that by the total number of degrees in a circle. The reason I'm doing that is because 1/4, and I'll draw a little picture up here, of my circle then, right here, I need to figure out what that measures. So 1/4 of 360, my answer, you can see it for this one, I actually should have drawn a square up here, would be 90 degrees. Now, not all of these will work out that way. You'll have to use your calculator and find the degree measure of sector. Once I add all of them up, a way to check your work here would be to add up all of your degrees, and you should get a total of 360 degrees. Now, as we move on down here, you have to complete the table, and then you can make it fit in here, or you can draw it on a separate sheet of paper. You're going to be using a compass first to make a circle, and then using your protractor to fill in the different segments and label them. So you do what works for you. Now, it's a little tricky for me to show you how to use a compass because I would have to try to record my hand. So I know you've used them before. If you feel comfortable, I'm going to let you go for it today, but I am going to talk to some groups and we're going to model and practice using a compass to make sure we're doing that correctly as well. For your assignment today, you have a few math journal pages. Math journal pages 169, whoops, forgot my 169, 170, and 171. Now, we started the first two together, and then 171 is very similar. It's basically doing the same thing that we just started on 170. Then you also have a study link. Your study link is, or no, we don't have a study link today. Scratch that. Hopefully you're paying attention there. So no study link today. And for IXL, I'll list a few of them. There are a lot of options, things that you could review, things that you could try now. So let's do, if you haven't done these, CC7, CC8, that's where you're finding missing degree measures in triangles and quadrilaterals. Also, another one that would be good to do would be CC11, you're naming some angles, and CC15, you're talking about parts of a circle there. So any of those you could give a try.